So every once in a while, I have these sort of aha moments. Actually, I have them a lot. And it comes as a result of kind of asking questions. So I was thinking about Satan casting a third of his angels to the earth. We read about that in Revelation chapter 12. And this isn't talking about how Satan was able to capture a third of God's angels. So the third of the angels that are cast to the earth is in the context of the end times. That is, a third of Satan's angels, the stars that he controls, he is going to take his tail and cast them to the earth. Later in Revelation chapter 12, we read about how Michael and his angels will war against Satan and his angels, and Michael and his angels will cast Satan and his angels to the earth permanently. Okay, in other words, they'll be evicted from heaven permanently. They are not evicted now, they're still there now. And so as things ramp up toward the end times, just before the time that we're about to be transformed from mortal to immortal, and before we're taken up in our rapture, the man-child rapture of Revelation 12, Satan is going to take a third of his angels and cast them to the earth. So I started thinking about that. And it's also in the context of this war in Israel, the travail of the woman. And it's in the context of Satan wanting to devour the child as soon as it's born. And of course, we are that child, that firstborn son who is going to rule and reign with Christ with a rod of iron. So I was thinking, okay, so we know Satan's going to cast a third of his angels, his messengers, his stars. And remember, stars can be angels or messengers. They can also just be stars. But in this case, they're being cast down from the celestial heaven, like the heaven where God dwells. And that's because that's where his angels are. They're in heaven. There's fallen angels that are in the pit. Those are different. And then there's demons that are the spirits of the Nephilim. And these are the spirits of people who lived prior to the flood, who were these hybrids. They were giants. They were part human and part angel, part, watcher. And those are the spirits that roam the earth as demons. They can be very, very powerful entities. But the angels that are being cast to the earth, these are not beings who regularly come to the earth or who show up on earth. And what's interesting to me is that the Bible talks about how even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light, that there is this good aspect, this beautiful aspect of Satan and his angels. So I'm thinking about this. Okay, so we have a third of his angels coming to the earth. What is that going to look like? And what does that have to do with the timing of our being changed from mortal to immortal? Because it's all about the timing here. And of course, it's in the context of the Gog-Magog war. And I'm going to look at all of this more closely when I get into a video where I talk about what to expect for this coming year. Okay, in 2023, I think that things are going to escalate, and there's things that we need to watch for. There are a lot of things that the Bible talks about that will be ramping up or taking place prior to our rapture. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I make a big deal about the time between when the child is born, the man-child is born, and when it's caught up to God into his throne. Those are two different events. They're not the same thing. And whenever we look at a firstborn son, we know that there's going to be 7 days between the time when the child is born, the son is born, and when it's offered to God or presented to God on the 8th day. And I just want to interject this one other thing, and that is that being made immortal is not the same thing as being glorified. For example, Jesus, when he rose from the dead, he was made immortal. But he wasn't glorified until he ascended. And that's what he told Mary, who, at the tomb there that morning, he said, I'm ascending. I need to ascend to my God and your God, my Father and your Father. Tell that to the disciples. And then later on that day, Jesus was able to give the Holy Spirit to the apostles. And we already know from John chapter 7 that Jesus couldn't give the Holy Spirit until he'd been glorified. So the order is you have immortality, you gain that here. Okay, if you're a believer, you're going to be changed and given this immortality here on earth. And then once we ascend into heaven, once we're raptured, actually we don't ascend, we are raptured, snatched away, we receive the glorification. That is, we receive our crowns and our authority and all of that once we get to heaven. That's something that God bestows on us. God bestowed it on Christ, he'll bestow it on us as well. Glorification happens in heaven, but immortality is what takes place on earth. So we are going to be redeemed. We're going to be born. Okay, our bodies are going to be redeemed. Okay, that's what Paul talks about, the redemption of our bodies. Okay, and it's in our bodies that the sin nature dwells. It dwells actually in our physical body. Paul talks about that in Romans 7, that it's this body that has this desire to sin. But thanks be to God that once we receive our immortal redemption body, that is not going to be a problem anymore. So our immortal bodies will be healthy, they'll be perfect, they'll be beautiful, they'll be without any of the ravages of sin or death or sickness or decay or anything like that, and no longer any pull for sin, because the old nature that is a part of our physical bodies right now is going to be done away with. So all that's going to be really great. So when we're born, okay, we're going to be transformed from mortal to immortal, but we're not immediately going to be taken into heaven. We're going to be here 7 days because of that connection of that 7 days with the 8th day presentation to God. So there's this time frame is sort of been hidden away inside of this imagery. But if you know what the Old Testament says about a firstborn son that opens a womb, well, you'll know that there are 7 days with an 8th day that's attached to it. And the woman, we're told later, has other offspring. That is, they are offspring that are not firstborn. They are ones that are her children. That is, they're siblings of the firstborn, but they are not firstborn. So they will not rule and reign during the millennium, but I digress. So I'm thinking about this third of the angels that are going to be cast to the earth, and I'm going, okay, so, you know, in the past I'm thinking, well, maybe they're like aliens. They're going to be like some kind of, invasion of some kind. And then I all of a sudden go, oh no, that's not it at all. They're going to show up as counterfeit redeemed believers, counterfeit newly immortalized believers. We're going to be immortal, and Satan is going to dilute our message, to dilute what God has done, and deceive people by introducing his own version of it. Okay, those third angels that are in heaven are going to be brought to the earth to be counterfeit, immortalized believers. Now, everything that Satan does is through deception and lies. He's always finding an open door or a back door or a way that he can twist the truth and deceive people. And this is the whole point of the book of Revelation, is to show us where Satan is deceiving people and what the truth is. And so this morning I just sort of went through the book of Revelation, and I'm looking at all these places that emphasize the truth, which is the testimony of Jesus, he says, is the truth. The angel who received this revelation says that he is giving the story in its true form. John said the same thing about this testimony. And the whole book of Revelation is an examination in some ways of the truth of God and his word and his son, and the truth of what God is doing, and the lies of the enemy. Okay, the deception of Satan. In fact, when Satan is identified, he is called the liar and deceiver of the whole world. There is no truth in him. He is going to operate via deception and lies. So I'm just going to list out some things that I found just going through Revelation chapter 1, on through. There are false apostles and there are true ones. Revelation 2:2. There are true Jews, those of Israel, and then there are those who are false, fake Jews. Revelation 2:9. Jesus says that he's the true one, which means there is a false one. Revelation 3:7. There are false Jews who are liars. Revelation 3:9. There are false Christs. Revelation 6:1. There's false glory, as in false crowns. That is the watchers or the angels who are in the bottomless pit. They wear something that looks like golden crowns. This isn't real gold. Gold is meant to represent divinity. They are wearing crowns in the sense that they are rulers. That's what these entities are. They are rulers, and then they have a ruler over them who is Apollyon. He's the king of the angels of the bottomless pit. That's what we're talking about here, these fallen angels that have been kept in chains in the pit. There is the false death and resurrection of the Antichrist, the beast who rises from the sea of death, the beast who had this head wound, this king who had this wound and is come back from the dead. It's real in the sense that this is going to happen. He is going to die and come back, but it's a lying sign. It does not indicate that he is the Christ. When Satan is cast out of heaven with his fallen angels, with the angels who are going to be cast out with him, he's not going to be cast to earth as this really evil-looking entity. He is going to change what that looks like. He is going to put a different spin on it. He is going to look like God the Father finally coming to dwell with men, with all of his angels. He's going to make it look like it's glorious, when it's not. It's him being cast out of heaven, but he's going to make it look glorious. And at the same time that he is cast out, his fake son is going to rise from the dead. And so there's this going to be this fake glory, this deception that God the Father has come to earth and his son has risen from the dead, and now they're going to rule and reign forever. That's what this is going to look like. It's a fake God dwelling with man. There's going to be a false prophet who is like the fake Holy Spirit. We know that there are going to be true Jews, those who are of Israel, in whose mouth no lie is found. We're told that there's going to be 3 angels that go out throughout the earth, and one of the angels proclaims the everlasting or eternal gospel. We're not talking about the gospel of salvation. There's all kinds of gospels. The gospel just means good news or true news. And in this case, I think the gospel that's being preached is the true news that there is one God and everyone needs to worship him. There are the true judgments of God in Revelation 16:7 and Revelation 18:2, when God judges the beast, when God judges the harlot. This is true judgment, right? We know that there's going to be 3 foul spirits who come out performing lying signs and wonders, deceptive wonders. We know that the harlot herself is going to be deceived. She says, I sit as a queen. I'm never going to be a widow. I'm never going to see mourning. And then her mourning and widowhood comes in one day, a single hour on a single day. We know that all nations are going to be deceived by the harlot. Revelation 19:9, the angel says, these words that I'm sharing with you, John, are true. In Revelation 19:11, Jesus appears as the one who is faithful and true. We know that the beast and the false prophet are going to deceive those who have the mark of the beast. That's Revelation 19:20. We know that Satan is the deceiver of the nations. Revelation 20, verse 3. And at the end of the millennium, he's going to come out and deceive the nations again. He is the deceiver of the whole world. Revelation 12:9. We know that all liars are going to be found in the lake of fire. We know there is no falsehood that's going to be allowed into the holy city. We know that Jesus' words are trustworthy. That is, they're true. And outside of the holy city are going to be all those who love and practice falsehood. I hope you can see here that Satan, he doesn't oppose God in a direct way. He doesn't come out and just say, I'm going to battle God. He uses people, and he's a deceiver. He is a liar and a deceiver. So he's going to have all kinds of lying signs and wonders. He's going to have false Christs, fake resurrections, a fake son, a fake Holy Spirit, fake glorified saints, and fake immortal saints. Okay, everything that God does, Satan is going to have a counterfeit of it. And that includes fake immortal believers. That is, when we are changed from mortal to immortal, Satan is going to have his fake version of it ready to go. And what he does then is he neutralizes or attempts to neutralize what we're doing by infusing a spin or a falsehood into it. That is, fake immortal people who are really, they're his angels who are disguised to look like one of us. And people are primed for this, okay? There's a whole genre out there of the immortals, or the gods returning back to the earth, who have powers. They look beautiful, they're awesome, they're lovely, and that's what this is going to be. That's my thinking about it right now. I'm just looking at this and going, Satan is a deceiver. This is what he's going to do. He's going to use these beings, these stars, to be like one of us and fake people out. Now, we're going to be given authority to give the Holy Spirit to the 144,000. Okay, our 7 days is going to overlap the 7 days of the Feast of Tabernacles. And then on the 8th day, after we're brought into heaven, that's when the Holy Spirit is going to be poured out on all the earth. That's what it says in Revelation 5. Okay, the Spirit of God is going to be sent out into all the earth. This is going to be the double portion on that 144,000 of Israel, plus it's going to be poured out on all nations. Anybody who comes to Christ as a result of our testimony, people seeing us in an immortal body, just like Jesus appeared after his resurrection to many, many people, including over 500 at one time, so that people could realize that the resurrection is possible, okay, that it actually happened. In addition to people seeing him in a resurrected body, Jesus gave a commission, okay? He transferred the ministry then to his apostles, and for them to go out and to make more disciples and to teach them everything that he had taught them. Jesus also appeared to the disciples on the road to Emmaus, opened up the word and shared with them how this was all prophesied. Okay, and again, that's, I believe, a ministry that we're going to have during that 7 days, is open up the scriptures and show people where it says these things. And because of this immortal appearance, our immortality showing up for people in the world, millions and millions of people are going to get saved. Millions. Okay, we're going to be at the beginning of the greatest revival in human history, the greatest revival ever seen. And it's because we will appear in our immortal bodies. But we're going to have competition. Satan is going to have his fake immortal believers on the earth in an attempt to deceive people that we're trying to minister to. It'll be our competition. So there's an interesting passage in 1 John chapter 2, verse 22. Who is the liar but he who denies Jesus is the Christ? This is the Antichrist who denies the Father and the Son. No one who denies the Son has the Father. He who confesses the Son has the Father also. The way people are going to be able to tell who is a real immortal believer, who's someone who had lived in a mortal body, has been transformed into an immortal body, be able to discern them from Satan's imitation immortals, is going to be people who are the true ones, are going to claim that Jesus came as God's Son, and that he's the Christ, that Jesus is the Christ, and that he came in the flesh. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1, it says this, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are of God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit which confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit which does not confess Jesus is not of God. This is the spirit of Antichrist, of which you heard that it was coming, and now it is in the world already. Little children, you are of God and have overcome them, for he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." So this is a way that people are going to be able to distinguish who is a true immortal person. They're the ones that confess that Jesus came in the flesh, that he is the Christ, that he is the true Messiah, and that he's the Son of God. None of those other entities will confess that. Okay, so this is how we're going to know the difference between the one who is of Christ and the one who is of the Antichrist, or the one who opposes Christ. I don't have show notes for this. I just wanted to put it out there. Okay, I have my own notes, but you can make your own. You have a Bible. You can just go through the Bible and see all the places where the scriptures are talking about the testimony which God has given Jesus and the angel and John. The testimony is true, and that people are to guard that testimony. That is, those who keep the testimony. That word keep is not necessarily they obey it. There's also this added layer of they guard the testimony. That is, we are meant to guard this prophetic word that we see in the book of Revelation. So Satan wars through deception. Okay, that is how he does his battles. He does it through deceit and deception, lying signs and wonders, false Christs, false prophecies, false all kinds of things. It's not direct, right? Satan does not operate directly. He always comes in through a back door or through a lie of some kind. And this is why the Holy Spirit's called the Spirit of Truth, because he guides us and leads us into all the truth. Part of the end time deception is going to be fake immortals. They're not the real immortals. They are the ones who will eventually be cast into the lake of fire. They are not true redeemed, immortalized Christians. They are going to be fake, and they are not going to confess that Jesus came in the flesh. They're not going to confess that he's the Messiah or that he is God's Son. Okay, and that's how you're going to know the difference between the real ones, who are like us, and the fake ones who are going to operate using deception. It's just like the rider on the white horse. He is a fake Christ. He is a fake Christ. He's not the real one, but he's going to appear. He's going to act as though he were the real one. And there's a fake Holy Spirit. That's the false prophet who is going to give spirit to the image of the beast. That is, people who are going to be made in the image of the beast. They're going to be downloaded. The spirits that come out of the pit, the watchers, are going to come into people whose bodies have been prepared to receive them. All right, so there's a lot of deception going on, a lot of it. The harlot's behind some of it, but the powers that be, who are a part of the harlot, are also deceived. They've been deceived too. So this is a deception, and even after the millennium, Satan is going to come out and try to do the whole thing all over again through deceiving people, but that is going to be the final straw after the millennium. And that's when Satan is going to be cast into the lake of fire along with everybody else who loves and practices falsehood. And that'll be that. New heaven, new earth, and the glories that are to come in our future. So just thought I'd put that out there. Let me know what you think in the comments section. We'll see you on another video. Till then, have a blessed day.